Hi everybody, Aazam here, your transformation coach and founder of Heal the Heart. We are here for another Bits of Inspiration video series and joined by Martha Aguilera, who is formerly known as Cocolitas, Cupcakes and Empanadas. We are here to talk about the process of forgiveness. How it is, who it is for, and how to get through it, and how to overcome all the emotional ups and downs. So welcome.
Thank you.
Martha, and thank you for joining me and willingness to share your story. So tell us about process of forgiveness. Was it for you? Was it for who? How did you get through it?
So I think the most important thing is to say that I am not an expert at the process of forgiveness because the hardest thing I've ever had to do is to forgive someone that's not sorry. So I can honestly say that if you need help on how to get there, it is not something that I can actually say, like, this is how I did it. What I can say is what happened afterwards. So there have been people in my life from a very, very young age that were always just the negativity in your life, and everyone has them. We all have them still. Mm-hmm. And I always waited for, like, the apology. Like, well, they didn't say they're sorry, and now I get to be mad. Anger, I got it down. Like, anger I can do. I'm super comfortable with it. But forgiveness to someone that doesn't think they did anything wrong, I found was almost impossible. And it's consuming, and it utilizes so much of my headspace that it was toxic for me. And it kept me from being able to accomplish things in my business and as a person and all that stuff. And I don't do emotions well. And I definitely don't do emotion sharing well. Yes. So it's definitely a difficult process. But what I can say is when I finally decided to forgive that person, because what was happening is this: I would think about them all day. Or, like, I would see them and my mood would change, my day would change, and they didn't think about me once. Exactly. Like, they went the rest of their day like I didn't even exist, and I am sitting here stewing, right? Yeah. And that's when I realized, like, this is crap. I don't want to do this anymore. So letting go of whatever the hang up was, whatever the anger was, whatever the reason was, no matter how big or small, and just saying, you know what, I forgive you. And you don't have to say it to them, because then they're going to say they're not sorry, and then you're going to be mad again, and then it's going to be... it's for you. Yes. It's for you. So forgiveness, I found out, is for you, like for oneself, and not for the person it's going towards, because you can't make someone be sorry, but you can just stop letting it consume you.
Yeah, exactly. It is one of the things that I figured out when I went through the same process, and that moment of recognition that they're going through their lives not even thinking about me, and I'm sitting here with this fight or argument and discussion and everything in my head, and my body was getting so tense and I was getting so angry, and as a result of all that, stress was coming up, and I was getting sick. I was having back problem. It was my jaw was always like clenched. Yeah. And I came to a point that recognizing they don't even know. Right. They're probably having the time of their life. And the other thing is, I cannot control what they do. Right. I can only control me and my emotions and what I go through. Right. So, and that point of letting go actually starts the process of forgiveness. Right. And I don't know how it was for you, but for me it was like, it doesn't matter. I matter. My health and my mental, emotional, physical health matter. Right. So that I'm doing this for me. Right. So was that similar to yours?
It was similar except so sometimes they do know and sometimes they don't know, right? So for me, the hardest part was like what you did wrong and you just are not sorry. And so that's what would be super consuming for me is like, how could you not be sorry? And then I would, like I say, I would run into them or I'd hear their voice on the phone. And then all day I would be thinking, well, if they say this, I would say this. And if they say this, I would say this. And that person probably never thought about me again until the next time we ran into each other, So the process was not just like letting go of whatever happened to make me angry. It was letting go of the fact that they were never going to change their opinion of what happened, because we always want people to see things our way and understand where I'm coming from. And And it's just not that way. So learning to forgive, I can't teach anybody to learn how to forgive because like it was awful. It was awful. But once it happened, I feel 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
So
because you change your perception about what, it's not that you gave them the right of doing what they did.
Right.
You still believe what happened.
Right.
And they have their own beliefs.
Right.
They feel that they didn't do anything wrong. It was you who made me do this or whatever. And you just, again, releasing.
Honestly, you just hit something that I was thinking about. So in the process of like the whole forgiveness thing, when you do decide to go ahead and release it and they come back and they say, whatever, they're not sorry. My biggest problem, even when I would go to like the edge of letting go and forgiving, I always stopped because I felt like if I forgave what happened, then it was like it never happened. I was always into that whole like forgive and forget thing, forgive and forget, because if you're going to forgive someone, it also means you don't get to throw it in their face all the time, depending on what relationship we're talking about. But I always remember thinking like, I can't forgive this person because if I do, that means that everything that happened was okay. And it was not okay,
yes.
And learning to let go of that was probably the most difficult part
so how
of
did
the forgiveness.
You do that?
And then I had to forgive myself, which is the hardest because no one can be harder on you than you, right? Learning to there was like a certain person in my life that you told me, you're like, write them a letter and don't send it, and I was like, no, I want to write it and I want them to read it and I want them to be sorry and I want them to admit, and you're just like, yeah, that's not that's not what this is for.
Not important.
It was not important. And so I did it and it actually really helped, remember? And then understanding like when I needed to let these things go, that it didn't mean that I had to let them do it again. So just because I forgive you, because if I don't, it's going to consume me, doesn't mean that you get to come back and do whatever it is all over again. I still am allowed to have boundaries if I forgive you, and that was the biggest lesson for me.
It's exactly. It is forgiving does not mean forgetting.
Right.
And not forgetting means that you use that information as a learning process. So you create the boundaries so it would not happen again. Because I used to tell my kids, when you do something, when you make a mistake, you learn.
Right.
But if you make the same mistake over and over again, it's not a mistake anymore. It is stupidity.
Your fault.
It is stupidity.
I know.
Because you know the result, what result it brings. And it is so amazing to me that all of us keep repeating the same mistakes and follow the same habits that we have.
Yeah.
It is at some point we need to stop. Like you were saying, that letter that you wrote, you wanted to send it, you wanted to bring pain to that person.
Oh, yeah.
And you wanted them to know. But when you recognize that what they believe does not matter, what you believe, and you believe in you and who you are, that is what matters.
Right.
And the fact that you're stronger as the process, as the result of what happened, and you made the decision that you're not going to allow that to happen to you.
Right.
Not necessarily getting engaged with that person, just letting it go. You don't do this to me again. I know. But I let go of that tension. I'm not forgetting.
Right, and sometimes you just hold on to the anger because it's so familiar and it's the only way that you can make sure it doesn't happen again. Yeah. Because you don't know how to set the boundary yet. Does that make sense?
And we don't know how to, because it takes a lot more energy to do things differently. That is why we hold on to what is familiar. That anger is familiar. We are used to that. That stress is familiar. And we don't know what to do with that empty space if the anger is not there, if the tension or stress is not there. So it's kind of switching our way of doing things and literally mindfully change the habits and change our mindset in order to move forward,
which is like an act of God almost. Like it really is. It's super difficult to do, so I don't want it to seem like oh yeah, I did it, and you should do it too, and like no, I'm not.
One of the things that I want to mention, because you brought this up a couple times, sharing these stories, our process, our stories through these videos is not to say that I'm the only expert and I know how to. It is just, this is how I did it. And if you can take any lessons or any points from this, my process, it's just helping. It's just
Right.
putting it out there, being of service, and hopefully somebody will benefit and learn or take a point from what we are sharing and make their process easier.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Just being able to relate to something.
Yes.
Like I'm not a good like the whole touchy feely. But I just wanted to just really quick. I just wanted to say, my whole point to this, I really don't know where the bits and pieces came from that I was able to get there. I just want everyone to know like how much better it feels once you get there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know how, find someone who's done it. Not me, because I'm not going to be able to tell you how I did it. But find someone who's done it or that knows how to do it, because the result is just, I'm telling you, it is so relieving to not feel the way you do after you see someone who has affected you that way.
It's
So-
like a whole world is lifted off your
Yeah,
shoulders.
no, it
Your
really
body,
is. It really is, and you get your life back, because someone could ruin 8 hours of my day in 8 seconds, and like, who the heck are you to take that kind of power from me?
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's one of those things.
It's giving your power away correctly. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. If you need help in that, if I can be of any support to you, I am a transformation coach and help you in any way. Contact me, and if you have any stories to share to help others, please contact me again. My email is aazamirilian@healtheheart.com, and I hope to hear from you soon. You take care.